857 represent. Tatted on my chest. Pussy boys, they love to talk. They get no respect. I don't know where I'ma end, but I'm coming next. Take my shot, it's going in. Stacking up the debt. Made my way up to the top.
I can't believe this is finally happening. I've been wanting to do this for a while, but my name is Mihir, and I am a producer from Kansas City, Kansas. And I actually wanted to make a YouTube channel to talk about how to start producing music, because when I started to become a producer, I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and I wish there was a channel like this that could help me. In this video, we're going to specifically talk about what specific equipment you need. In later videos, we're going to go on and address kind of how to start producing. We're going to go into tutorials on Logic Pro X and talk about, what the fundamentals of production of music are. But for this video, I just wanted to take a complete step back. You are day one, just not even day one, day zero, and you're saying, hey, look, I like music. I think I want to start producing it. Maybe give that a try. You don't know if it's something you want to take seriously. Maybe you're in high school or college or heck, even middle school, and you have no idea if music is what you want to do for your living, but you do know that you like it and you do want to give it a shot. So, I'm going to talk a little bit about what you need to get started. And this is the first video of that. A little bit background on me. So I've been producing music since I was in 7th grade, which was, if I do my math correctly, that was about 9 years ago. And I just started off in GarageBand. Like, I was just putting together random loops on GarageBand, and loops are those random pre-recorded stuff that Apple gives you, and you can just kind of drag it into your section. But I quickly kind of lost interest in that, and then my junior year of high school, I started to think to myself that maybe I do want to take it seriously, and I started getting better and better and started learning through free online resources and doing random stuff. And, here I am now. I'm published on Spotify. I have my own recording label, and I'm actively working with different artists to make different songs. So that's just a little bit about who I am. Not as important as what I want to be doing in this video for you all. So, and in this series in general. So the first thing I want to say is you don't need a fancy studio by any means. I see a lot of producers and potential artists that are just starting off get kind of de-incentivized, sort of intimidated by seeing all these fancy recording labels with crazy gear and production and amazing studios that look really nice, and apparently that's what you need to become famous. But let me tell you something. A lot of songs that you hear from an artist, that the song that makes them blow up, a lot of times they didn't have access to those crazy studios or all that gear that you see on TV or whatever. The music industry does something really interesting. They try to make music seem like it's too inaccessible, so that just people starting off don't give it a try, and so that they can be in charge of the artists that are coming up and the artists that are providing money. And that's kind of the backbone of things. The music industry is a money-making machine. They're not focused on necessarily getting good content. They're focusing on getting out content that gets them money. So in that sense, they try to make it seem as inaccessible as they possibly can. This channel is going to change that a little bit. So we've established that you don't need a fancy studio. But what are the things that you do need? Of course, if you want to get started producing music, there are things that you do want to look at and things that you want to sort of invest in. And the first one is a DAW. So very basic. You will hear the word DAW all the time. It's an acronym, DAW, Digital Audio Workspace or Digital Audio Workstation. Basically, it's a very fancy terminology, but all you need to know is that this is the program that you will be using to make your music. Most people in the world, or at least in the United States, that have a Mac or some sort of Apple product know or have heard of GarageBand. So GarageBand is a DAW. It is a digital audio workspace. It is a platform in which you make music. But it's a very elementary one, right? It goes for $4.99 on the App Store, maybe $9.99. And a lot of cases, if you just buy an Apple device, they'll just have it on there for free. And this is very simple. And maybe when you're starting off, you want to use GarageBand. You can drag different things in there, record your own instrumentation. And we'll be going over tutorials on all these DAWs, specifically Logic Pro, in future videos. But, just giving an example of what you need. However, if you do want to take things a little bit more seriously, you should be investing in a good DAW. I personally use Logic Pro X. It's really good. It's really powerful. It gets everything that I need done and more. And a lot of professionals use Logic Pro X. I know that Logic Pro X does run on the cheaper end, even though it does have a price tag of $199. It is quite expensive, and sometimes it can be inaccessible because of its price range. Now, I'm not saying that you should be doing this, but there are a lot of instances where you can go on the internet and find free or cracked versions of Logic Pro X. And, never would I ever tell you to be doing that. But because I couldn't even afford as a high schooler the $200 cost of Logic Pro X, I did have to resort to those kinds of resources, at least in the initial few years of my first few years of production. But fortunately, I've become a little bit more financially independent and have been able to afford investing in Logic Pro X, the full actual version. So we've established that you need a DAW, you need a good DAW. People use different types of DAWs. There's Ableton, FL Studio, and a bunch of others, and I'll throw a list on right now just so you can see the different DAWs that exist. You want to do a little bit more research into which DAW is right for you. Because of the way Logic Pro kind of organizes its space and the logic within Logic Pro just seems more intuitive to me. So I've been using Logic Pro since day one. That's what I feel is the most intuitive. When I close my eyes, I know exactly what I can be doing in Logic Pro, and for that reason, I recommend Logic Pro to everyone. Also, the price range is a lot lower than a lot of other DAWs, and Logic Pro is the DAW of choice for me. So we established DAWs, Digital Audio Workstation. Again, you're going to hear this so much throughout your career that you might as well get this terminology nailed down right now. The second thing you need is an earbud or some sort of headphone or, some in-ear or over-ear audio listening device. I will say there's one specific specification for this, and it's that it should be a relatively clear or flat frequency response headphone. So what does that mean? Well, the human hearing can hear from about 20 hertz, which is very low, and those are very big sine waves, to 20,000 hertz, which is very fast, very high-pitched noises. Of course, as you grow older, that range kind of narrows down a little bit, but in general, humans can hear from about 20 hertz to 20,000 hertz. Now, headphones like the general Apple headphones that I have right here, these are good, casual listening headphones, but if you'll notice, they actually are very warm in nature. They actually enhance the bass a little bit too much and kind of can create inaccurate depictions of sound. And one of the most important things in music production is trying to get exactly how your song sounds to be as flat as possible so that you can see how your song sounds very accurately. And so these headphones actually increase the amount of bass artificially through the technology in these headphones, and therefore aren't probably going to be the best to use when producing music. But fear not, you don't have to buy an expensive pair of headphones or earbuds to be able to produce music. My go-to recommendation for brand new music producers and artists is actually these. So these are Samsung's AKG earbuds. Funny story, these actually came with my Android phone that I bought in 11th grade. And so I've been using these since 11th grade. They're not perfectly flat, but they're very crisp. They're relatively clear compared to a lot of other headphones that you can get on the market. And as of right now, I go to Amazon and these are less than $10. These are so cheap. And these plug right into your Mac or whatever computer you have, and they sound phenomenal. They will create a relatively accurate sound depiction. It's not going to be perfect, of course. That's why people do invest in $200, $300, even $1,000 studio headphones, but they are pretty dang good for how cheap they are. And, they're enough to get the ball rolling. I used these for 5 years, 6 years before I even got a pair of studio headphones. So there's that. You have the earbuds and you have the DAW. Now, one last kind of bonus thing that you should be kind of looking into is perhaps a pair of studio monitors. So your laptop speaker is great. You can use that as one of your sound references. And what I mean by that is when you're listening to a song, you don't want to only listen to it when you're producing it on one pair of listening devices, right? You want to hear it on as many devices as possible just so you can get the perfect balance. So if you're saying, okay, on headphones, the bass is too heavy here, let me try it on an actual monitor and see if the bass is actually overwhelming. And if it is, maybe, I'll turn it down a little bit. If not, then, I won't turn it down. Just to get another pair of listening devices so you can have another reference of what your song sounds like. So it's actually really funny. I have these two, I don't even know, it's probably a company that's not even in existence anymore. I went into my basement back in 2017 and found these jank, tiny studio monitors. They're this big. I'll show a picture of them right now. And I've been using those as my studio monitors whenever I'm home over here. And so it's actually really funny because even though these aren't crazy professional high grade studio monitors, or basically studio speakers, we call them studio monitors, they're good enough to act as another reference point for my songs. And so if I want to see how it sounds live on speakers, I can play it through there and just kind of get another reference. And that's huge. That can provide just another angle to your song. If you wanted to see how maybe a certain part of your song sounds like on big speakers, there you go. Now you have that reference. And you can also use your laptop speaker as well as another point of reference. One thing that I also like to do is, when I download the song, I like to put it in my car speaker just to have another point of reference to see how it sounds like and then make modifications from there. But yeah, this is my room. I started producing music in this room, and it's nothing crazy. It's not a crazy studio, and there are a bunch of things that the music industry will tell you. They will say, look, you need to buy crazy $1,000 studio gear in order to become a professional music producer. But in reality, I got pretty far with just spending nothing on music production software and equipment. And, just developing my skills and, really focusing on getting good at producing music before I let the kind of equipment and gear take a lot of that work away from me. And that's really important. That's key to this. You got to start from somewhere and start with what you have. So if you have $10, buy the headphones, find Logic Pro X somehow, find some other DAW somehow, and just start practicing making music. Start making melodies. Start doing some random thing that will bring you joy and make you feel like you're one step closer to becoming an artist. So that's that. That's how you start off. That's the gear you need. In our next video, we're going to talk a little bit more about Logic Pro X and the basics of that and kind of get into that a little bit more. But for now, that's it. Thanks for listening. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.